Brad Pryor here with Grit Branded. Today we're going to be talking to one of my closest friends, probably my best friend. That he balances me personally and at work as well. He's more or less my whooping post some days, and some days I'm his whooping post. But we share a lot in life together with business and with Rafter P. And it's Colt Herron. He's my general manager, and how long have we known each other?
Going on 8 years. I think April will be 8 years.
Really?
Yep. So
What time
almost
flies?
that 10-year mark. So
Wow.
I'm expecting a pretty hefty gift for that 10-year.
Okay.
Because I didn't know if
What do you want?
I can't tell you on camera.
Well, I had to call Jose then. But anyways, no, and we've been together, and it's been a long journey, and a lot of things have transpired and happened, and we've seen people grow in their place. But let's talk about your story. Let's talk about, where you're from, what means a lot to you personally, and then we'll get into the hoo-haws and all the good stuff, and then how Rafter P and us came about.
Yep.
But I want people, a lot of people I feel like there's a lot about me people are learning through the last couple podcasts that we started off with, but I feel like there's people that don't know you. And I feel like there's people that don't know you that work for us.
Yeah.
They just hear your name. They know you're next in charge below me. And but let's tell the world about you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm Colt Herron, obviously, from Wolf City, Texas, born and raised.
We already cleared that up.
That's God's country, in my opinion. No place better than Wolf City, Texas. Grew up there. My dad, close family, aunt, uncle. Got a lot of family in Wolf City. That means a lot to me, that town. I'm president of the school board there now.
President of the school board?
Yeah, president of the school board, yes, sir.
They had no other options?
Nah, I won by a tight margin. I'm on my second term now, so they voted me in twice. So I think I've got a decent stake at it. But that's really what gets me going. I mean, as far as community-wise, I mean, I love my town community. Hunt County, where from. We do, obviously, a lot together in Hunt County with the kids and things like that. And so that's kind of what drives me outside of work, too. And obviously, family, got wife Amberly, which loves you.
Beautiful lady. And we have a love-hate relationship some days.
That's right.
But we both are the same kind of person, so I feel like that's why it is the way it is.
So you got to think about it from my aspect. I got to go home and I have
do it crazy at work and crazy at home.
Work crazy. So anyway, but grew up with my dad. Mom and dad divorced young age. Dad lived with him the whole time. Had a good childhood. We were broke as a joke, but had a lot of supporting family that helped out and got me to football games, baseball games, all that stuff. While Dad was working, he was working 3 jobs pretty much my whole life.
Before you get into talking about your dad, I want to talk about the Herron family. Mm-hmm. I don't know how long we've been together, but we went to a family reunion. I think it was on what side of the family in Wolf City?
That was which one?
I don't know. I don't remember what.
Oh, is that? Yeah. So that was like that was like Herron's and extended Herron family.
Okay.
My Uncle Mark and all them.
Yeah.
All that group. Yep.
And there's like 800 people there. I think the whole town. we always joke about Wolf City is that y'all are not typically inbred, but you're all related somehow. But some too close to the bloodline. So line breeding, pretty much what I call it.
The funny thing is so we kind of had a divide of the town as far as families. So like my wife's family was, the Malones and the Lakes and the Felties and all that, and then you had the Herrons, the Gardners, and everything. And then when we got married, now pretty much it's a population 1,500 people, and I think everybody in town's related now because we got married. So,
good job.
So now all the kids in high school don't get to date anybody. They got to go outside of the school to find a girlfriend, boyfriend because they're technically related. So, sorry, kids.
Yeah. No 3 eyeballs or 5 arms and that kind of stuff going on.
Can't be happy.
Or y'all can just all move to Arkansas and create a new Wolf City. So, you gotta make a date each other.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know how well that'd work, but.
So, out of the Herrons, Carrie is a superintendent for us, is a workhorse, and a big part of the muscle of the heart, biggest part of the muscle of the heart of Rafter P. And you work for him 1st before you even work for anybody.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So that's my first job, which allowance. I had to make my own allowance. I didn't get an allowance as a kid, so if I wanted to make money, I had to go to work. Well, Kerry had his own. He was building custom homes for himself at that time, and I remember 7, 8 years old going out there and job sites and picking up nails, trash, screws, and so it's kind of
Grunt work.
Grunt work, but it's kind of one of those deals that's so cool now that we're basically working hand in hand today. And I started, the first memory of me ever working and making money was with Kerry, so that's special to me. That me and Kerry get to work together side by side, and that's what I, just an excerpt here. Like, that's what I love about this whole company is, like, I feel like nobody is a boss. Like, there's no bosses. It's teammates.
Right. It's teammates pulling the rope the same way.
Yeah.
That's our grit. And I feel like too that I don't really have a choice. I pretty much work for Wolf City Clan because there's so many of y'all that work here that are related. Mm-hmm. I mean, we have, I don't know how many.
Yeah.
North of 5 at least.
Yeah, there's good people in Wolf City.
Yeah.
We just got, hey.
And when we
left.
When we first started talking, and when you're from Wolf City, I had a bad taste about Wolf City because of the employment people I had. And you're like, hey, there's another side of Wolf City that's good. Mm-hmm. And I've learned it and saw it and I've seen that side of it. But let's talk about one thing I remember a lot you saying repetitively is talking about Kerry's dad. Mm-hmm. You say, I wish you got to meet him. Mm-hmm. Y'all have a lot of the same ideals or mannerisms of how you handle things. Tell me about those things, because to me, it's like more defining grit, and we're doing the things we're doing, and those kind of guys pop up in my head, even though I never met him. Mm-hmm. He's not with us no longer. I never got to meet him, but it's something that's commonly brought up when we're talking about that bloodline or that group of your family.
I mean, Kerry's dad's Dwayne. So, funny story before that is my grandmother had, we called her Granny, but she had two sets of twins 2 years apart. So Dwayne and his sister Teresa are twins, and then 2 years from there, my dad, which is Keith, and Kathy were born, and two sets of twins within 2 years. Oh wow! So they had 4 kids in diapers, and so my grandpa, I never got to meet him. He died a couple years before I was born, but he had to be a strong-willed man to deal with those parents.
Well, and I knew your dad and his sister. I knew they were twins. I didn't realize Dwayne had a sister as well that was a twin. So that's cool. Yeah. Why didn't y'all have twins?
Well, thank the good Lord we didn't.
I can show you how it works.
In all 3 that we've got now, so I don't know if I could have handled.
Yeah, you have a lineup.
Yeah.
And it could be criminal or good.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I'm worried about the daughter, though. I got 2 little boys, and one's 7, one's a newborn, and then little girls, she's about to turn 5. And
Bo's my teammate. We got the world.
She's going to... I ain't going to have to worry about her sticking up for herself. She's feisty.
No, that's a good thing.
But, no, Dwayne, just to speak with him, I mean, my dad obviously was my best friend in my life, my hero. But, I learned at a young age that you had to work like everybody else is, and no disrespect to any of my friends' dads or anything like that. They were all hard workers and great people. I would stay at my friends' houses all the time. I love them. But my dad, sometimes wasn't able to make stuff because he's working. I mean, he's barely making ends meet working 3 jobs, So Dwayne and his wife Patty, which is my aunt, which is Carrie's mom and dad, basically, everything that, like day-to-day parenting stuff, they kind of stepped in and took over, and I was at their house all the time and always with them. And Dwayne, the reason I always say that I wish y'all would have met is he was, when I think about a leader, he was a leader. Like he could walk in a room with 1,000 people, and that man walks in, just his presence, his aura is, we're going to listen to that guy. I mean, the guy that stands up in church and talks and, everybody stops what they're doing and listens. And just a hardworking guy, very motivational, like always just on fire. You never caught him on a bad day. It was always gung-ho, let's get it done. So, And that's kind of the way I see you, is there's always something going on. There's always a push. They're never complacent, and that's my mindset. And especially with the guys that I work with at Rafter P too, it's just like there's never enough. And it's kind of it's a good thing and a bad thing, but in the end, everybody knows that we're, like you said, pulling the rope the same way, and we're ready to take on whatever life hits us. Because as you know, like Monday mornings, cell phone starts ringing about 5:30, 6 o'clock, and it don't stop till Thursday afternoon.
Or Sunday night.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, it all starts. You know, you always get that Saturday. You kind of get a couple phone calls and kind of lulls, and then Sunday morning it kind of all right. But you know, around lunch, everybody gets kind of thinking of what's going on the next day. That's when all the little random phone calls happen.
Yeah.
You know, and then I honestly I don't get those much anymore unless it's a direct client. But because you take care of most of that or all that. But so, you know, we're thinking about your dad before we get in the story about him. There's something that happened to you, and I want to bring this up because it's something that's to both of us who took care of you, the hospital that took care of you, is something. And I didn't know until we're at Autorama one year, and you said, "Hey, I really want to go. These are the people that took care of me. Like I like that. And you didn't ask me to spend money. You just want to go over and watch the auction. So tell me about that story, and then we'll talk about how, you know, what we did and made you emotional. And I've never seen you emotional to that day. So tell me describe the accident, what happened, and what, you know, all that happened about who took care of you.
Yeah. So 12 years old, and I was a pretty good athlete. Like always, sports was my niche. Like Dwayne's kids, like Kerry, Cody, Kurt, they were always in sports and stuff. I looked up to them. That's all I wanted to do was sports. Like I was bound and determined I'm going pro, doing something. And so anyways, 12 years old and riding a four-wheeler with a buddy that lived down the road from me. And we were going way too fast and being kids, being dumb. And he was in the road in front of me. Well, it was a rock road, so it was kicking up a lot of dust. Well, he had stopped because one of a Velcro piece of his handlebar flew off. So he'd stopped in the middle of the road. Well, I never saw him stop because of the dust in my eyes. We're probably going 50 or 55 miles an hour on a rock road. So I swerved to miss him, barely clipped him, then I hit the grass and I just started tumbling. And ironically enough, it was right in front of, which by the grace of God, it was right in front of Dwayne and Patty's house. And she just happened to be off work that day. She had taken off for some reason. And I flipped. Basically, all I remember, I flipped in front of the four-wheeler, and I was still conscious, and then I saw the four-wheeler coming at me. Well, it landed directly on top of my leg, right below my knee, and it just ripped everything. I mean, there's a piece of skin like this big that was hanging my leg on. I didn't know at the time, so I stood up because I was like going to go check on him and see what happened, and then I fell down, and like my ankles beside my ear when I wake up. And luckily, Patty, which is Carrie's mother, was home, and she came rushing out there and got the 911 and all that stuff. So I was care flighted to Children's Hospital. And then once I got to Children's, they kind of evaluated. I had, it was like a life or death situation. And luckily, the doctor that was on call that day for like immediate surgery was Dr. Carl Ratchen. So he's the son-in-law of Ross Perot, actually, as we got to know each other and stuff. So pretty cool, but all of his major surgical equipment that was needed for my knee, like to reconstruct and have me have a chance to walk again, was at Scottish Rite in Dallas. And he said, "Hey, I need y'all to get him stable. We'll get him stable, and then we're going to transfer to Scottish Rite." And then literally just the bill, I remember my dad getting it, and just the bill from the helicopter ride and me being there for a couple hours was like $28,000. And then Scottish Rite at the time was a nonprofit. It was literally free. And I told you first of this, we didn't have any money. Sure. So there's no telling how many millions of dollars it would have been had it not been that doctor that day there. I wouldn't be alive if my aunt wasn't home that day, so I'm very, very thankful of it's a whether you believe in God or not, somebody was taking care of me that day, and it wasn't me. You know what I mean? So it's one of the deals that makes you reflect and know that, you got to count your blessings when you can, because it could have been over right there. But Scottish Rite, like that day at the Autorama when I told you, you didn't even know that story.
No, I was over and we're walking over, we're buying stuff. They have a spot over there, and they do an auction. It all goes to Scottish Rite, and it's the guys that do the custom paint jobs, pinstriping, that kind of stuff, more for the Hispanic heritage or culture and stuff. But they got kids that are going over there and they're drawing. I believe we bought a skateboard that had been custom painted, whatever. And you just brought me over there, and once I learned what it was, I had a little story about Scotch Rite too. And I was like, I started doing it. I look over, and your eyes are watering. I'm like, what is this all about? And then you tell me, and I'm like, well, then we just set it on fire and bothered everything that was there. So, awesome. But but to me, that's stuff that especially when you come from a family that they do all they can, and you didn't go without, but just because hospitals and doctors like that, and coming from Ross Perot and still going in the right direction for a family, not even knowing your financial status, but put you in the right spot.
Right.
And I feel like it's a lot of faith-oriented things get you there because you have a purpose you still got to serve. Right. And I feel like that's what that day did for you.
Yep.
So I think that's a great story for people to hear about you and for Scottish Rite. And also, let's get into your dad. I love this guy to death. I ask you all the time about him, and I guess describe his abilities right now and how he got to where the condition he's in.
Yeah. So he was always the strongest dude I ever met. Like nobody, we grew up at the shops. He did dirt work. He did a bunch of excavation. He did, he worked with his hands a lot, and he's just the guy that you could tell even as a young kid, like that's not the one you mess with, and then, growing up with him, he's always the strongest man I've ever met, all that stuff. And then one day, just out of nowhere, it was the day before, I believe it's correct. It was the day before my first baseball game, my senior year, and I had some schools looking at me to go play college ball and stuff like that. It was like, it had to be a really proud moment for him to get to watch, and we had a good team and all that stuff. And the day before my first game, he went blind. Just woke up that morning, couldn't see anything. I mean, pitch black dark. So they took him to the hospital, took him to a bunch of specialists and stuff like that. My aunt did. And turns out he had a stroke in his optic nerve, and there's no reversing that. There's no treatment. There's no nothing. They did the best they could to reduce swelling and things like that, but now he can barely see. He can see well enough to like not run into somebody, but he can't. He wouldn't be able to tell who you were unless you started talking. So just kind of a really tragic event. And
Explain that day when you found all that out. What I mean, I'm not trying to make you emotional, but people need to understand that's not just. I don't want it to be just a general conversation. My dad lost his sight. Moving on, because what I'm fixing to talk about after that is what makes me so excited to be his friend and him being your father. Yeah. So just describe that day. Just touch on it a little bit, and we'll move on.
I'm an 18-year-old kid. Thought I was the best thing that ever happened to anything in the world, but. So it's looking back now, I understood what was going on, but I didn't know the severity of it because I was like, surely, with the doctors this day and age, like surely there's a way they can get it back. So at that immediate moment, I wasn't as worried about it, but still, obviously, I was struck. It was shocking, and I'm like, Dad, you're not gonna come to the game. He's like, I can't see. I can't. I don't. I can't see. I'll
Did he come to the game?
Everything. Yeah, he come to the game, But then as it sunk in of like, this is forever, I mean, it tore me up because of all the times that I remember us having and everything he showed me and the life experience that he taught me, and not the way of, hey, here's $20 to go to the fair and spend some money on the Ferris wheel. No, it was you get out there and go work with Kerry and pick up nails and you earn your $20. And I think he paid me like $5. But anyway, so it started really setting in with me that like this is forever and how unfair life was at that time, and I was like, if it could have happened to anybody, it shouldn't happen to him, and a lot of crying, a lot of emotions, and a lot of like, why, kind of thing. Just like, everybody has a tragic story,
Sure.
But it's one of them things like he's done right in the world. And so it's
I don't see it as a tragic story. I see it as your father's spirit still runs through him. His only thing that's been taken from him is his vision. Mm-hmm. He still got his quirky comments, his God forbid if you bring a female around him, she's going to get hit on.
Oh yeah,
100%. And he'll talk his way through it no matter what. And he can't even see what's going on. And that's what cracks me up about him. But you know, one of the funnier stories you told me that reminded me of something I've done to my own children is having them to wash Solo cups and paper plates or plastic plates to make.
That's
sure.
one of the funniest. Like everybody asks me about that story. Friend base, Wolf City base. Everybody in our county, I feel like, knows that story. One day is when I first got my driver's license. Me and one of my best friends were going to Greenville. Right before I left the house, he's like, "Hey, wash that cup and put it in the dishwasher." And I forgot to do it. It wasn't like, if he told me to do something, I'm doing it. So, I mean, I've got maybe $13 to my name, and 11 of it's in the gas tank of my truck. First time I've ever got to go to Greenville by myself. And we get to, like, pulling into Greenville, meeting some buddies up there, whatever. Pulling into Greenville, he calls me. "Hey, come back home." I said, "Why? Like, we just got here. It's early. Like, I'm supposed to be home by 11, but what?" He's like, "You didn't wash the damn cup." I said, "Dad, it's a Solo cup. Like, I'll buy some on the way home, or I'll bring." He said, "No, get your butt back here, and then wash that cup and put it in the dishwasher like I told you to, and then you can go back to Greenville." I was like, "But I still got to be home by 11?" He said, "Yeah." He's like, "I told you to do it. You're going to do it." So that story, I was so mad. But now, looking back with my 7-year-old son, the stuff that I do with him, it's like, I'm glad I learned that lesson.
Yes.
You can bet you. And what the funniest part about the whole deal was, the Solo cup had a crack in it when I was washing it. There's water pouring out of it. So it's like, it's the principle.
It's the principle of it.
I never forgot that. That's one of the funniest stories that everybody, if you go to Wolf City, they'll tell you that story if they know us.
Well, your dad just doesn't sit at home and sob about life. He's on the go.
Oh yeah. No, he's got a busier schedule than me and you combined. Every time I call him, "Hey Dad, let's go. You want to go run and do something real quick?" "No, I got this and this, and so and so's coming over. We got to do this. Got to change the belt on my lawnmower." And I'm like, "You're busier than I am."
Yeah. Outside of being a vegetable, that's the thing that somebody just takes every motivational or I don't know how you ever say it, mobility away from them and their brain, and they're a vegetable in a bed. Outside of that, that's guys like your dad are why it's hard for me to see people that do have a disability and they just sit there and give up.
Right.
When they still have all the mobilities, all the things they can still do, and they just sit there and stop.
Yep.
Your dad has that grit, that determination. We might even do a podcast with him. It'd probably be quite comical.
Oh my gosh. You better have the beeper on.
We'll put him a Natty Lotto there and he'll be good.
Heck yeah.
Or 5 or 6.
Yeah.
But, there's things that you can criticize people like me and him and you. And we drink a little bit. And, that's to me is a lot better than what a lot of people choose to do, in life. And he likes his beer. But I think that's just very inspirational from him, knowing the wall is up against, raising them by yourself, and then turning into that accident and then losing that, your vision, which he can see some. He just can't see as good.
Yeah,
but not legally can see it.
Yeah, he still drives it. He's got a little Polaris Ranger that little 2-seater, and it's got the hours on it are up to 999.9 basically, and that sucker for the last 3 years has been on that. Like, I want to call Polaris and be like, "Hey, if you want a testament about how good of a machine this is, if it's taken care of," because you talk about changing the oil. He's got I don't know how he remembers dates and all that stuff, but he knows when it's time to change the oil on that thing.
Yeah.
But he's had it for years and years, and he can put around on that and still get around enough to where he can kind of get out of the house and all that stuff.
Well, that defines your hometown too, though. Mm-hmm. When people see him, they kind of stray, till we make sure they're all in a safe spot while he's passing them, or stop to talk to him.
Yep.
That's, to me, that's rural America. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's having your aunt there when you have an accident. She's there to pick you up. Your dad with his incident and going through what he goes through on the daily. Nobody really knows how hard that is but him. Mm-hmm. We see it and you can react to it, but in the end, he's out in rural America, and rural America's helping him thrive.
Oh yeah.
Instead of just, no, you stay home. Mm-hmm. I don't trust
absolutely.
You being on the road. Like, you go into Dallas and he do that?
Oh, he would.
You get hung and he would be dead.
Show up and he would be. He wouldn't do it. He'd go stand in the middle of the road.
Yeah.
But no, that's exactly right. Like, he's and that they all call him neighborhood watch. Like, if you move your trash can to the other side of the driveway, he's going, "Hey, somebody moved your trash can over here. Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for looking out. Or, hey, there's a truck down there in the driveway. Don't look white, and that kind of thing. So he's the neighborhood watch. Everybody kind of gives. He's the HOA president of a bunch of county roads that intertwine. So
Yeah. So we get through high school. You met the love of your life, AJ, and the pain and butt of your life. We both probably share that.
Yeah.
Together. So you get through high school. I've met a lot of your friends, and I didn't really get that from high school like you got with your friends, which is no big deal. I just worked. You had that relationship, and I like it. I love seeing your friends, how y'all interact when we go do things together, and I love to see you happy to be around them or have time to spend time or get to do things we get to do that probably would never get to do. But so you get done with high school, you got your love of your life with you, and you go to Austin College?
Yeah, Austin College. Not in Austin, Texas, but it's in Sherman.
Sure.
So had a leg injury, and when I was 12, I was slow. I mean, obviously half.
Not the leg injury you had before, but a different one.
No, it was the same one. But ever since then, I mean, number one, I wasn't supposed to walk again.
Right.
So then number two, I'm really slow. So every college tryout, contrary to popular belief, for a baseball tryout, the first thing you do is run a 60-yard dash. Well, I'm on that clipboard is like this long. My name's down here. And then when I would start throwing, I'd move a little bit up the list. So I lost a lot of advantage that I had by that accident, baseball-wise. I wanted to go to school to play baseball. So I ended up going to Austin College, and because they were giving me, academically, I was decent. So I ended up getting a pretty good help, financially with that. Go to Austin College, and some of the most best friends of my life there too. I mean, I couldn't be more thankful for the friends that I met there and stuff. And
I know you wore me out when you first came to work because like every other weekend it was somebody's wedding. I had to go to this wedding. I was like, I don't know how many people that you go there. Like I don't even go to weddings most of the time. It just have to be somebody phenomenal. But it's just it's off all those relationships from high school to college. There's just a lot of them, and you're in that age gap where everybody was doing that thing.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, and everybody has kids at the same time. Now it's like birthday parties, and every weekend, every day of the weekend is somebody's birthday party, somebody's kid's birthday party, stuff like that. But wouldn't have it any other way.
Right.
Keeps moving.
So you get an academic scholarship to Austin College in Sherman. You play ball, and then from there, you marry AJ, right?
Yeah. So we got married in 2015. That's the year that I graduated college in 2013 from Austin College, and then she graduated in 2015 from Texas A&M Commerce. She went to Tarleton for a little while and then came back to Commerce. Anyways, so she graduated, and then within the same month, we got married. So.
I got you. So what is the most aggravating thing? We'll start off with the good thing. So what is the thing that you see in her so much that makes y'all's marriage phenomenal?
Oh, it's kind of like mine and your relationship a little bit. Like, we're best friends, but I know that she's going to get on my ass about something. You know what I mean?
And you need that.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Because if I didn't have her, I'd be laid in a ditch somewhere.
You would.
I thank God for every day. But she's feisty. She's a non-stopper.
Because she loves you.
Yeah, absolutely. And she's, another thing, she's the best mother that I could ever imagine. Like, when we had our first kid, we were both like, we were shocked that they were letting us out of the hospital with Cannon. I'm like,
what do I do?
Yeah. You're like going to send somebody to the house with us, or like, what are we going to do here? Because neither one of us know how to take care of a kid. But I struck gold with my in-laws. They helped us so much. My family helped us so much. So it's just one of the things and then she just naturally became an amazing mother. It's just.
She's a mother, is a second, third mother, fourth mother to my twin daughters.
Yeah.
She
taught.
She
Yep.
Yeah. So it's like I've seen it all the way around.
I think it was her first year teaching. She had Maddie.
Yep.
So that's incredible.
There are two people that are
juniors
alike.
now?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's incredible. Like she just got that that determination of I'm gonna keep a happy home and happy family, and if you start making that hard on me, then I'm gonna let you know about it, and I'm not gonna stop until you do what I ask you to.
Yeah.
And then as I progress in age, now it's a lot easier just to say yes, ma'am, and do what she wants me to do.
That's what most people do. Well, you gotta have love too. You're not bowing down. It's a respect
No.
thing. You're building a relationship. You
Yeah.
know,
And she knows that there's late nights and there's long weekends. There's trips that we go on for work and stuff. And she's very good about understanding that we're growing a family and we're growing a business. But that's why it's all connected, is because we're all, at the end of the day, all the employees we have and everybody that kind of works with us is growing as a family. Like I don't, I see we have almost 70 employees. I see everybody's kids and family members as ours, as mine. And I'm like, if I screw up one day or if I don't care one day, I'm not letting down 70 people. I'm letting down 70 people times 3, times 4, whatever household is. I mean, you're getting up in the hundreds, 200 plus my family and all that. Like, there's no time to not do what you're supposed to do. There's no time to slack off. There's no time to say, oh, well, we'll get it next time. I don't believe in that. We're going to do it as hard as we can first try, and we're going to give it everything we got every day.
So the things that you do in the community that's not necessarily associated with Rafter P, but you're the president of Wolf City School Board, you're the treasurer of the Hunt County Fair, and you coach your kids' teams, right? So going through all that and you're raising your kids up, who do you feel like, I mean, obviously you have a newborn, you can't play off of that, but who do you think is that next person to be you in that leadership role of doing stuff for your community, kid-wise?
Out of my kids, probably Bo.
That was my pick.
She's one of those, like, she's got some Dwayne hair in her. She walks in the room and you're gonna know she's there. Cannon's sweet, heart of gold, like takes the shirt off his back to wipe a kid's tears.
Putting the fires out behind her.
Like playing football, and he can, he's fastest kid around and could just blow somebody up. And I'm like, Ken, why didn't you tackle him? He's like, because he's small. I don't want to hurt him. I'm like, that's football. That's different.
Yeah.
Different. But he's just that kid. But Bo, she put a helmet on her, she'll blow through a brick wall. and she's got that leadership quality. Cannon does too. But she's really got that. She's vocal and she's not shy at all. She'd jump on this chair right here and do this podcast with you, not be nervous. Whereas Cannon you'd have to pry answers out of him. So it's just.
What's their ages?
Cannon's 7. Bo, which is my daughter, Bo Claire, she's 5, or she's 4, about to be 5, and then have a newborn that's 6 weeks old. So don't know about him yet. He cries a lot. When I talk about being vocal, he's pretty vocal at night right now. So we're gonna have to whip that out of him.
Yeah,
when he gets
get that in
We're gonna have to put that in line. We're gonna have to get that solo cup treatment to him, but at a little younger age.
Right. All right. So you work for another company as somewhat a competitor of ours. 6-7 years ago, I would say it was somewhat of a competitor. But now I think we're in our own little league of people. And my ex-wife and your wife are working at the same school district, and there's a conversation that me and you need to meet. Right. So we line that up. You come in my office, cocky as hell, wearing dirty pants or nasty. I'm like, this little son of a bitch came in with a freaking interview. Looks like he's a hobo, but he's cocky and he thinks he knows everything. Right?
I'd say that's fair.
How long did it take you to come to reality after we made a deal, made it all work, that there's a lot more to this than what?
Oh, it was quick. I mean, that put me through the ringer with different crews and had to go, work with, framing crew, sheeting crew, work with Mikey for a little bit, and kind of went around with every crew. And I was good there. Like, I was like, oh yeah, I know how to work. My hands still work. I'm in shape at that point. I was ready to roll. The first one out of the truck, leads out, get everything prepped, and let me cut the sheets. We have a really Miguel, which has worked for you forever and ever and ever. His deal was he was walking down the ladder and cutting sheets for a valley, And then walking the sheet back up the ladder, I'm like, Miguel, I'm right here. Tell me what the measurements are, and I'll cut it for you. And finally, like the third day, he would let me cut sheets.
You know why? 'Cause if you screwed it up,
Oh,
you'd
yeah.
have to hear him.
Oh, yeah, it was on him. But anyway, once I started, and well, in the field, I saw, like, I ain't never built nothing. Yeah, I built a lot of stuff, but I ain't never built nothing like this before. And so I paid a lot of attention, and then I got in the office, and then I realized, oh yeah, this is a different caliber of, and still to this day, people come up to me, oh yeah, y'all got a lot of shops to build, y'all got a lot of, y'all building any loafing sheds, and yeah, man, yeah, we are. We're also building, a couple $1 million houses, and but not bragging. It's just that's just the perception of, y'all are a metal building builder to some people,
especially in
that
the
haven't
home
done that.
where we started.
Right.
That's the big, where we started. I think that's the kind of the stagnant water of what we actually do.
Mm-hmm.
Some people don't realize we've grown up a lot, and that's fine. But when we try to keep the demeanor, of we're not going to sit there. No, we're not going to correct them.
Yeah.
We'll just let it flow.
Yeah, they'll find out. But another thing to get back to that is you kind of helped me notice that pretty quick, because when I came in the office and whenever I was proposed to work for you, like, oh yeah, there's 3 other people in this office doing kind of the same thing what I'm going to be doing. It won't, I'll have some backup. And then, as Brad Pryor would, about a month and a half later, there's only one left, and that's me. And so definitely had to figure it out. But I think with your help and then just, the determination of I'm not going to fail, kind of started figuring out, kind of grouped up with the right guys, like Mike Luna that works for us, one of the best dudes on the planet. He took me under his wing, showed me a bunch of stuff, some other guys in the company that did the same thing. And, they had already kind of figured out how to read your mind a little bit. So then they give me some pointers on, okay, well, maybe it means this. So, but yeah, it was an eye opener for sure. It's a whole different industry and a whole different caliber of expectation than any other builder. And, the person that I came from, it was a successful business. We did a lot of stuff, a lot of big stuff. Started, kind of building fences, kind of the same story, but the difference is, instead of the plateau that they wanted to be at, and they're complacent with that plateau, there's every day is we're gonna push harder, and that's what keeps me here. I'm here for life. You ain't never gonna worry about that, and that.
Yeah.
But there's always gonna be that push and drive of, okay, well, that's cool. We got that cool project. We worked our butts off on it for the last year and a half. We got it. All right, what's next? And it's not for the sales reason, it's not for the money. It's for all right, now we got to push the limits farther because we're not satisfied. No. And I feel like we both share that quality. And some people love it, some people hate it. But the people that hate it don't usually last very long.
No. They don't want to do it. No. They don't want to put it into work.
Yeah.
But so we're coming out of that the first year, getting settled in, and we all kind of go through a phase of, and we can make a list of names, but pretty much everybody knows who they are, but of acting up and cutting up, and challenges that me and AJ had, trying to figure each other out, and and me not being a better person for you, I was in a bad spot in life and didn't really care what I was destroying or doing, and you ended up with a pretty good, nice tattoo doing that. Yeah. And it's bigger than anybody else's. Yeah. This is pre-Yellowstone, by the way. So
yeah,
we were doing this
before Yellowstone, just so everybody knows this.
Yes, everybody thinks, because most of the big dogs in the company or longtime people in the company have their After P tattoo over their heart. Mm-hmm. That was way before Yellowstone. And that's the only thing I don't even talk about it much anymore, because that's the first thing out of their mouth. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, you're making Yellowstone. I'm like, no, this is a thing before Yellowstone. This was a thing. This is just how the ranch world works, anyways. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily tattoos, but with the brand. Mm-hmm. But we just did it differently, more humane, I guess you would say. But you got a custom one that was a lot bigger than everybody else's.
Yeah, because of my best friend Brad Pryor. When we got to the tattoo shop that we were getting it, he said just size it to his chest. Well, at that time I was in shape. I had, I got a dad bod going on right now, but at that time I had, decent sized chest, and so he said size it to his chest, and then a former employee that you had showed him his, and he's a little.
And there's 4 people there that have the same one.
Yeah,
same size.
They could have took out a tape measure. Mm-hmm. This is my fault, but at that point it was what's done is done, and then I start showing y'all, and you're like, kind of comparing, kind of getting chest to chest, like what happened here, Everybody else got like a silver dollar size, and I gotta. If I go swimming at your house, anybody, you're gonna know where I work for sure.
Well,
my dad might be able to see it.
Yeah, there you go. Well, just to give people a little bit of scope, we'll just talk about this weekend on a PG rated version of it. But our little fearless leader, Becca, had a nonprofit golf tournament for a kid that had cancer. Well, we were acting a fool, even though I told you to stay home Friday.
Yes, you did.
My ex-wife and your wife and my twin daughters were going to a Christian concert in Oklahoma, and we were left to behave.
Yep.
Well, we behaved the best we could.
Yes. And could have been better.
Yeah.
Could have been better.
So you're blowing the phone up. I told you to stay home. The night before that, I decided I needed to get nipple rings.
Yeah.
Yeah. The dumbest
idea
I've ever had in my life. And I'm going to admit that on camera, but it is what it is. So.
You don't know until you try it.
Don't know it.
Right.
But it was a great idea with a couple people at the same time. And so that was a five, 6 people did at the same time. Yeah. Same tattoo place too.
Yeah. How many rings are left in right now?
Just
between everybody.
The one guy. The goat, Jimmy. But so this goes on. I'm getting that I'm exhausted. That all is hurting, and it's hot. And you get your tattoo Friday. We all stay at my house. Me, you, and BJ, and we have this golf tournament the next day. We wake up late. We're like, oh crap, and we're wearing American flag shorts.
Oh yeah,
matching, blue tops, right? And we're struggle busting bad. So we're all dressed. We're walking out of there. We can't get in your truck.
That's correct.
Because the cat got in. You left the back
window.
I
left the back glass on my truck open.
And the cat goes in there and locks the dang door. Well, none of us can fit through the back glass to open the truck back up.
Yeah.
And we're already 30 minutes behind. So luckily you had your ball finder. With the extension on
ball
it.
grabber.
Yep.
It took me 10 minutes because I was trying to reach my arm that was obviously 17 foot short of where I needed to be. And then I'm like stepping on top of my golf clubs while I'm doing this. Where there's a ball grabber out there. It took me, maybe my brain wasn't in the best positions at that point because I should have just grabbed it to start with and we could have got right in. But anyway, and we contemplated busting out the back glass window.
Which one would make the most sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we were doing rock, paper, scissors about who was going to punch it. So anyway, we ended up getting in the truck.
So we haul butt to Emory, Texas, and we stopped. None of us had probably eaten in 2 days that I can remember. And we stopped at this little gas station in the Lake Fork area, and we don't have sunglasses. We don't have nothing. We stopped to get food. So we get a little dried up taco, burrito, whatever it is.
Cooked the day before.
Yeah, it was rough. And get us some $2 aviators that we still owe the guy for yours because you just walked out with a tag still on it.
Yeah, that was.
And realize you didn't pay for them. But anyways, so we got these $2 aviators on because we're dying in the sun. And we show up to this opening of this golf tournament. It's a nonprofit and they're raising money for this kiddo. We didn't realize we're stepping out there, American flag set up and everything. We're standing behind everybody listening. Don't know exactly what they're talking about. They're just talking. We didn't realize they had their hats off.
Yeah, it was the middle of prayer.
Yeah, it was the middle of prayer. And we both crack a beer open at the same
Yeah.
And guess who is throwing eyes at us from the other side of the pack?
That would be Mrs. Metters.
Mrs. Metters, yeah. And, yeah. And as soon as she looked at us, we both felt like we were in kindergarten, like, oh no. Yeah. No playtime for us today. Yeah. So this goes on, and we start playing, and then Becca thinks decides that this is going to be funny. Brad's in a point of life where I can get some good pictures and some good stories on him. So she finds a squirrel. It gets pretty close to us.
Yeah.
So I work my bear crawl my way up to him in this American flag outfit because I'm just not feeling the golf game at the time.
Yeah.
So she's pretty much carrying me. So
you almost had it too.
I almost had it. I was literally like a swipe away from it. Yeah. So now little sucker haul butt. As I get back on the golf cart,
I gotta ask a question though.
Yeah.
If you would have gotten it, what would you have done? Because it's going to turn around and start biting your arms for sure.
Well, at this point, my nipple ring had fell out on my left side, so it was killing me. I think that's what would hurt my swap. So I probably would have just missed it anyways.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't even think I could think past if I would have caught it. I probably just swung it by its tail.
Yeah.
That'd probably be the best idea. Little suckers bite.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I go back to the golf cart and bless Becca's heart. This ring fell out. It's a hoop, and she has to put it back in for me. That's love. That's love, true love. Anyways, and I'm like, I can't do it because that threads, it hurts, and she just stunk it through there and screwed it back on. I'm like, anyways, she said, get on the cart and just get some air. You need some air. So I'm sitting on the golf cart and I'm trying to pump it the whole time, or flip it. And as we're going, well, she just hits the brakes, like slam them on.
I was beside you. I saw you.
I don't know how many barrel rolls I did.
A lot.
Well, I broke my wrist.
Yep.
Yep. So
You finished out the round of golf though,
I did.
and I think a game of cornhole after that.
Yeah.
So
And we got a little argument with some older fellas there that didn't much like us.
yeah, it turned in like a 27 under. Yeah. Golf cheaters aren't cool,
No.
but we'll take it. But yeah, we weren't invited back to that one.
No. And my ex-wife and your wife and my children came pick us up
Yeah, that was a great
all the way
ride
from
home.
Oklahoma. You had
Great
a
ride
very long ride home. So that just gives you a little peep of that 2-year stretch of
Yeah.
what people can hear.
Yeah.
Or we want to say. But so we go through this, and then all of a sudden we decide we're going to grow up. I'm 40 years old, almost 40 years old. I need to be grown up a long time ago. But so we get in, and this is something I want to talk about. So looking back from where you started and where you're at now, or where we're at, how many trade shows were you working when you first started?
When I first started,
Yeah.
none.
Hunt County Fair.
Yeah, Hunt County
That
Fair.
was the only one we had. And then we went into Autorama. We went into, now we have a whole year schedule full of trade shows and what we have evolved into. I think that says a big thing about what we're doing and with the industry. We're not just sitting there being a social media person, podcaster, or our website, or come see us. We're actually getting out there and being personable and meeting people, talking about product, taking time away from our family, because that's how much Rafter P means to us. That's our grit, and that's in our grit. We want to learn, we want to meet more people, and that's what this podcast is about. People that have the grit, the brand, they go out there and wear whatever brand they're riding for, or whoever they're working for, whether it's their family or a business or whatever. Those people that are, to me, is what America is based on.
Oh yeah.
And I think and there's one reason why I'm so big about doing this thing is this is not about necessarily building Rafter P. This is more or less getting people to understand what America is about. And I feel like there's a lot of people that work their butts off every day that these are avenues for them to be able to talk.
Yep.
And they're more comfortable talking with me or talking with somebody that's surrounded by me to get what they're about out there. To me, that'll inspire people.
Yeah.
So doing all those trade shows and getting in front of those people has opened up, or having dinners and having drinks and all that stuff after hours, I feel like has opened our avenue of our work base and our customer base wide open.
Oh, absolutely.
People we never got to meet unless we did those things.
No, and you're exactly right, and that's the thing too with like the kids. There's such a push to go to college now. Like especially being on the school board, like I understand like the importance and how many pressures it is for if you don't go to college and you're nobody, and that's not true. I know plumbers that are making more than both of us combined. You know what I mean? Like, and that's what we're trying to promote now. It's what we see eye to eye on is. That's why we get in front of this youth, because somebody's got to do it, man. If we don't do it, if somebody doesn't lead the charge and promote this stuff to kids coming up, you're not going to be able, like if you have a water leak at your house, there's going to be no one there to fix it. And if they are, they're going to charge you $22,000 to fix a 3/4 inch piece of PEX because they're so rare. If we don't start promoting that in the youth and in that, there's not going to be a community of kids or next generation that can come up and do the trades that it takes to make the world go around. You can go to college all day long and get a business degree. I did the same thing. Nothing wrong with it, but I don't use it today. I learned a lot from going to college. I learned a lot, and I made a lot of friends. Got to play baseball for 3 or 4 more years. But at the end of the day, what I did as a person and a hard worker is what got me here. Not a degree.
Sure.
That piece of paper hanging on my office wall. is, it cost me a bunch of money, but and I'm not telling kids not to go to college.
Sure,
Specialized
we never
industries.
discourage that.
My
Right.
best friend is an engineer, very successful, my age, proud of him. It's Corey, you know him,
Love him to.
and he is a genius. But to be a civil engineer, he had to go through school, and specialized degrees, 100%. I mean, but you got to, in my opinion, you got to be focused on where you're going, like what avenue you're
What
going.
kind of lifestyle you want?
Right.
You want to live in a city. You want to go to a job. You want to be home at a certain time. Think about that when you're thinking about your career. Don't think about your career as being cool. Think about something that's going what you want out of life.
Yep.
Because you can't blame your work for it when you sign up for it and do it, and then start. Hey, I don't like working these hours. Well,
Yeah.
This stuff we're wide open book. I feel like every business is. But what I feel like the challenges are now. When I was started working, it was begging for a job.
Yeah.
An opportunity. Now we're begging people to work for us. It's totally polar opposite. And it's the weirdest feeling coming from that generation because especially when you have really good product and you're very good at what you do and you feel confident in your business with everybody that's pushing and pulling the rope and doing whatever they need to, you're begging for people to believe in you. The customers, it's not so hard no more because people are getting it and they're seeing it. But the employees, it's like we cycle through sometimes and it's like we had such high hopes.
Yep.
But we've also cycled through, we had 3 or 4 years ago, we had some bad eggs, and it was corrupting. They were pushing everything towards anybody good in the company, and when I realized that, this is when we started pulling the hatchet out. I'm like, we ain't doing this. So
at that point, it was, what are we going to do to replace this person?
Right.
And then, I don't know, we're going to figure it out. And then here comes, a Tyler, and it's just, and shout out to him. If there's anybody that can fabricate these buildings better than him and these complex structures, I want to see them.
Yeah.
Because and that's kind of the way our core group is. They all lead their own group. They, all of our foremans are highly skilled, and they lead the group below them. And we have foremans that are growing in the company rather than outsourcing to go find a foreman to bring some guys. Like we're growing from within in leadership roles.
Right.
And I'm proud of that too. You don't have to go find a guy that's been working for 25 years to be on a foreman. We got 3 guys that are just about ready right now to start running a truck. So that's something to be proud of as a company.
I feel like we're getting there, and I feel like we're getting there for the right reasons. And we spent the whole year right now building new processes. We're to that level now where we got to be here where we can see stuff, and we're working on that. And I feel like that's going to make more people come to us because we're more organized. They have a set way of where we're going, what we're doing. They can visualize it, do it. So I think that's going to be a great thing. So Rafter P to you is what?
Rafter P to me is family. I think it's best if it's a one-liner to describe it. It's family because, like we said several times, all pulling the rope same way. And we got our tiffs over here. We got our, especially when you work with a lot of women, there's going to be some, nagging and some attitudes. Same thing with them working with guys and having to deal with the rough patches and all that kind of stuff. But, we all have sections of the business that different people kind of control, but it all comes together in the end, and I'm willing to go to war with anybody that's wearing this shirt, anybody that's got this, this logo on. If I see them, and I don't even know some of the guys well enough, but obviously I see their face, I remember, but some of the guys that work for us now, if I know they got a P on, I'll go to war with you right now, and that's the way that I would describe it as family.
So take your Rafter P out of the equation, and what would you say from your growing up? You think Rafter P as well. So what is the grit that defines you every day? What is a few keywords that just is what makes you push for your family, for your community, for your work, all that stuff?
I think it's just determination, really. I'm just not one to give up. Like I don't care what it is. You can tell me don't go after that job. You're not gonna get whatever that may be. And don't tell me I can't do it because I will spend the rest of my life doing it. You know, and I'm gonna make sure that the people around me also are motivated to achieve that same goal. So I think determination and just I feel like my character speaks for itself when it comes to if I tell you I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do it. And you're one of those same people. I've seen it time and time again. Even though sometimes it might not have been the best thing, if you told them you're gonna do it, we're gonna do it, and we're gonna figure it out, we're gonna make it work. And I feel like I've grown with that since being beside you, and I've also feel like I've had that for a long time, and just don't quit.
Right. Well, and I think another part of that I probably could add to you may agree to, is we've learned not what jobs we need to take either.
Mm-hmm.
Where we're the best at, we may not be necessarily suited for that customer,
Mm-hmm.
and there are ways of tweaking our process to fit their process.
Yep.
We are very process oriented, and there's a way we work because there's so many of us. We all have to go the same way.
Mm-hmm.
And when somebody comes and tries to tweak our style,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't work.
Well, it fails every time.
It does.
And there's so many examples of it failing, and then they come back. I think of one specific customer. I won't go into the long story of it, but it's one of those deals where, hey, just come in and build me the shell, and I'm going to general contract it yourself. That's 4 years ago. I bet you they hadn't lived there for a year. Mm-hmm. And he's like, man, in the end of the day, that ended up saving me $5,000.
Yep.
I said, well, how many hours did you have working? Was it worth more than $5,000? He said, no. He said, look at right now, I would have paid y'all all day long because y'all just have it together. And, that's kind of the deal for the public to know, like, you're coming in to trust our process. Like, you're making the biggest investment of your life most of the time with what you're going to build with us. I'd say over 75% of the time, it's the biggest investment they've ever made. So you're getting the Brad there, the Colt there, the Mikey there, the Carrie there, everybody there that's so important to take care of your project, and you can't put a value to that. Because we have spent so many years, you've spent twice as many years I have, collecting this group of people to make this team to where no matter who you send out them, they've got the best.
And it takes the whole group.
Mm-hmm.
That's the most important part people don't realize. You take, number one, 90% of them would never leave because they know that they need that circle, that group of people
Mm-hmm.
to be successful.
Yep.
And they know if they go somewhere else, it's going to be starting all over, and it's not going to be organized, and it's going to be chaos for their family. And
Yep.
It doesn't matter if it's $20,000 more than what you make for me. But knowing that when you step out of that circle, you're the lone wolf,
Mm-hmm.
and it's miserable.
Yep.
And so people trying to build a business like this is very expensive. To just say,
Yeah.
all right, I'm going to throw $30 million out there and I'm going to compete with Rafter P. Mm-hmm. Well, why would you do that? Because you're not going to get any people from me that would do it to help you. And that's what it takes. That's the biggest part is the people. It's not just the equipment that we own outright and do the things we do it. We have these processes. We have these people who believe in it. And we have these people that do it every day and go home and be happy.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't feel like there's that many people that can say that.
Yeah, there's not.
As a business owner,
We know them all.
They look at their checkbook, and they're happy about that. I don't look at my checkbook no more. Y'all do, but y'all get mad every once in a while.
Yeah.
But
Speaking about my 10-year gift.
Yeah.
No, I'm joking. No, but it's not about money to me. Like, and I know you touched on this in a couple podcasts before. It's not the money. Like just like you said, I don't even pay attention to it unless I have to. Like if wife has a couple Amazon boxes show up that are a little bit bigger than what I'm expecting, I might look at the bank account. You know what I mean? But it's and even with clients and stuff when they say, "Oh, y'all are too high," and all that, like. I don't think so. Like I did the numbers myself. Like I know where this project is. I know how much it's going to take. I know exactly what it needs.
We make
to be
the
done
same money on everybody.
Right.
Nothing changes, and there's not that kind of money in this business to sit there and just gouge people.
Mm-hmm.
We have to be credible. We have to be able to have things that can be financed.
Mm-hmm.
So they have to appraise. We can't just make our numbers up.
Yep.
So if we're that far off from somebody, it's because they're missing something.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? And we start our projects. We know our projects. So when we hard bid them, send them out, we know exactly where we're at.
Yep.
And typically the guy we're bidding against, you're giving them just enough information to give you a quote. They haven't been involved in that whole project from start to finish. So they're not going to know all the little things that we need to include. Mm-hmm. So I feel like that's where it gets the basis of that off. I don't feel like we're the most expensive. I don't feel like we're cheapest. I feel like we give the value for what people pay for.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly right.
And from quality to the pricing and the customer service. But well, let's wrap this up. I think we've been talking for a while now. Colt Herron, thank you for your friendship and your leadership, and take care of that family of yours.
I mean, I love you, brother.
Love you. This is hot.
Each and every Tuesday, catch a new episode of Grit Branded as we dive into stories from all walks of life in the hopes of you discovering what your grit is.